All right, everyone, for e-learning day number 2, we're going to end up taking a look at utilizing Microsoft Excel to do some statistical analysis. In the previous activity, we did some applied statistics by hand, doing some calculation and doing some various forms of example work. In this activity, we're going to end up utilizing Microsoft Excel to see the efficiency, make life a little bit easier and a little bit quicker to get some statistical analysis done. And especially in a lot of large data sets, Excel, a lot of other statistical programs get used quite often. So that's kind of where we're going to be at with this particular activity. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look. Part 1 I'm going to use as a little bit of a kind of a guide. So we're going to go through all the steps of what we're going to do to format and create a statistical analysis for this data set. We're going to use height of students. It says the height of students in our class, but what I like to do is just use the data that's already there because the examples will allow us to be able to double check to see if we're doing this correctly. So as we go along, that's going to be the easiest thing to kind of work on as we take a look at this part 2, which will be what you guys will be responsible for. You're going to be doing the exact same steps over again, just with a different data set. Actually, you're going to use the data set from the previous activity, activity 7.1, and you're just going to end up doing the same steps and then turning this in as part of a submission for our e-learning lesson. So we're going to end up, I'm going to have to input this data into an Excel spreadsheet. So I've already got one open and created. I'm going to do a little split screen here. So I've got, here's my Word doc, and then I'm going to bring my Excel over so and kind of put them into a split screen format. So within my document here, I'm going to end up kind of following along with the image and with the instructions. I'm going to start in cell A1. This is going to be activity 7.2, statistical analysis with Excel. So we're going to put a title in here. We're going to put student name. You'll put your name in here, so I'll put mine in there as well. And then height of students. So height of students, and it's going to be bolded. So I'll click back on that cell. Should be Command or Control B. We'll go through and do, that's the keyboard shortcut, or you can always change the font as well. Okay, feet, inches, decimal feet as the subheadings. And then we're going to start inputting some of the data points that we have here. So usually what I like to do is go down through the column. So here we end up, as we get down to 9, there's a 6'2" person in there, another 6' person, and then we go back to being 5 foot, except for 11. Looks like I need to go back up and make that a 4 foot person. And 5, 5, and the last one being 6. So I usually like to do this a little bit because the tab over takes a little longer at times, and this I think I find is just a lot quicker way to input data. So my preference, but depends on how you want to do this. Okay, and then down here at the bottom we'll put sum equals, and hit enter. So we're not going to write a formula here. All we're doing is we're just going to note that this is the sum of all these added up. So when we go to do this here, I'm going to use a formula to convert this over to decimal feet. So we're in decimal feet, the 5 feet or 6 feet or 4 feet needs to be the same. You can see that there. So we've already got one column in feet, but we need to convert the inches over to feet and then add that to the number of feet. So when I click in here, I'm going to do equals, and then I'm going to just click on cell A5. So that one's fine. I'm going to do a plus sign. And then I'm going to do a parenthesis and click on B5 and then do \12 because, and then enclose the parenthesis with a right, or enclose the parentheses with a right parenthesis. So as I go and take a look, when I hit enter, I'm going to get 5.5. I'm going to go ahead and right click on this to say format cells. And when I format the cells, I want to change this over to a number, and then how many decimal places? 2 is they're usually the default. That's what we're wanting, and that's what they're showing there in the image. So we'll go ahead and just say number, 2 decimal places, and say OK. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in order to copy that formula down, I'm going to drag the little handle in the bottom right corner, drag down to C16, and then that way I get that there because I want to leave this bottom one here to write for another formula. Okay, that formatting will actually get copied over to all those, so you'll see those values there. In my bottom one, I'm going to go ahead and write a formula, equals, so I'll type the word sum, so that'll start going through and doing an insert formula for the equation. So if I double click on it, that'll put that in. Now what I want to do is I want to choose C5, go up here and then choose all the way down to C16. Go ahead and hit enter, and that'll give me 68.42, which is what the sum of those particular ones are. So as I take a look, that's just a little bit of an intro of inputting data and doing some basic functions. So in the next video, we're going to end up taking a look at doing some of the more descriptive statistics and go ahead and doing some of the ones here, mean, median, and mode, standard deviation, and things like that. So we'll go ahead and watch the next video, and then we'll be ready to do the next part.